Call it what it is. You're a single mom. And guess what? That was never your intention. Guess what? Your mother wanted better for you. And if you argue on that point, that's a whole bigger issue. Because if you ain't got no problem with being a single mom, and your mama ain't got a problem with you being a single mom, and your grandma ain't got a problem with you being a single mom, I don't know what else that could be other than dysfunction, generational. And that is the issue. Yo, what's up? We back with another one this time around. Got a clip from Evelyn Lozado's podcast with her daughter, Shanice. And there's some very, very interesting things that are mentioned here. And we got to talk about it because there are some things that women keep getting a pass on that, you know, if we don't have these discussions, all we going to do is keep repeating the same old bad patterns over and over and over. And that's not going to help anybody in our society and definitely not in our culture. So without further ado, let's check this clip out and then we're going to take a deep dive into it.
Just coming into a situation with a little +1, and it's okay. Think about your grandmother, random thought for me to think about, but there are situations that work out, and we know plenty of people that have blended families. And so anyway, I say that all to say that I've always just told you, like, I know you're doing a great job. Nobody, wants to be the only main parent, but what are you going to do? He's here, and he's a beautiful blessing.
No, he's here. And I like, you have your moments when you're like upset or whatever. But at the end of the day, like I do still strongly feel like he was meant to be here for me. Like he came for me. You know what I mean? Because he's changed my life in so many ways. And to be honest, like I've had really good boyfriends.
All right. We got to pause here. Okay. So if you didn't get the gist, what has happened is she's gotten pregnant. She's gotten pregnant by the game, had a child with him. That's wonderful. A beautiful baby was brought into the world. I ain't got nothing against that at all. But what we got to talk about is at the very beginning of the clip, Evelyn was talking about, think about your grandmother. Now, I don't know the situation, but based on the context in which she's mentioning it, it sounds like, hey, listen, your grandmother, she was a part of a blended family. I had you outside of wedlock and, was a part of a blended family. And now you're doing it. To me, what that spells is like, that's a generational dysfunction. If that is true, if the grandmother, the mother, and now the granddaughter have all had children outside of wedlock and then have had to go and try to, mend a family that's blended because they already had kids with another man. Like, don't you see that is an issue that needs to be addressed? I know when we go back in the day, the good old days, and I definitely view them as such. That's not the way it was. Big Mama wouldn't allow that to happen. Like if Big Mama made a mistake, if your granny made a mistake, she's going to do all that she can, especially when it's the girls, and to instill into them not to make those same mistakes. But unfortunately, we live in a time now where that ain't the case. Like Big Mama was like, yo, I made this mistake, so you ain't got to make it. But nowadays they say, I made this mistake, so baby, it's okay that you made it too. Like we can't do that. We can't keep allowing ourselves to continue to build onto these generational dysfunctional behaviors and then just passing it off and saying it's okay because, a beautiful baby was born and you're great. It's okay that the father isn't there and you're the main parent. Like, let's call it what it is. You're the main parent. No, you're a single mom. Call it what it is. You're a single mom. And guess what? That was never your intention. Guess what? Your mother wanted better for you. And if you argue on that point, that's a whole bigger issue. Because if you ain't got no problem with being a single mom, and your mama ain't got a problem with you being a single mom, and your grandma ain't got a problem with you being a single mom, I don't know what else that could be other than dysfunction, generational. And that is the issue. Now, if that issue was one thing, what she's about to go into next only compounds on this. So let's dive into what she's about to say now. Because again, let me just say this in case it wasn't clear. She just had a child outside of wedlock with the rapper The Game, a man who has multiple children with multiple different women. He didn't marry her. And I don't think that he married any of the other women that were the children of his kid or the mother of his kids. So there was a pattern there. She chose this man. And if you go back and you watch the video I did with The Game, he talks about the fact that they brought this up on the first date. So if you want to learn about some of the stuff they were talking about on the first date, go watch that video because it gets deep. You get to hear it not just from her perspective, but the game's perspective. Good video. Go check it out. But for right now, let's check what she's about to say here and dive deeper into it, y'all.
Because he's changed my life in so many ways. And to be honest, like I've had really good boyfriends prior to Blaze. You know what I mean? And prior to that situation, I've had good boyfriends who
Hey,
would have
check that
been
out.
good
Check that out.
husbands and even
Okay. So check this out. So this right here, again, I gave y'all the situation. She said she's had better boyfriends than this situation, not this relationship. You notice that? She didn't refer to having a relationship with the game, even though that is the man that she decided to lay down, have unprotected sex with, and then have a child with. That man is the man that's the father of her children, but out of the same breath, she can confidently say that she's had good boyfriends. Like, it's not a flex for a woman to say that I made this bad decision, but hey, I made good decisions in the past, so it absolves you of that. No, like, the real question is, okay, like if you had good boyfriends in the past before you had this child with this man that you was in a situation with, what happened? What happened? What led you down that path? And this isn't to beat up on her. This is for us as a culture to examine this. Why is this okay? Why is it okay to say, okay, I made good decisions in the past. I made this bad decision now. And are you just saying that was a one-off? Is it a one-off? Like, oh man, like I slipped up, I was a good girl that liked good girls, a good girl that liked good guys, but then I met this bad guy and one thing led to another and then whoops, it happened. Now, if that's a one-off, that's a one-off, right? I don't know her like that. So I will give her the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, maybe that's one of those situations. That's a tough life lesson to learn in and of itself if that's what happened. Or if it's even worse, you developed a pattern of behavior where you decided to say, hey, forget all of them good guys. And like a lot of women have decided, they want to deal with the guys that have that questionable lifestyle, the bad boys. And guess what? That comes with a lot of risk. Let's get back into this clip so we can listen to the rest of what she had to say. And then I'm going to dive into it even deeper.
I've had good boyfriends who would have been good husbands and even
I'm sorry. I missed that part the first time. She's had good boyfriends that would have been good husbands. That would have been good husbands. They would have been good husbands. I'm assuming to her. I'm assuming she's saying that she's been with guys that she considered to be good boyfriends that actually also would have been good husbands to her. But those aren't the men that she chose. Let's find out why.
I've had good boyfriends who would have been good husbands and even better dads if it had worked out.
Check this out. Oh my, this is getting deep. So she's now saying good boyfriends that would have been good husbands and better fathers than the one your child currently has right now. Like, this is where you have to ask yourself the question, what happened? What went wrong here? What went wrong here?
I've had good boyfriends who would have been good husbands and even better dads if it had worked out. It just didn't,
Why?
So
why?
Because there's
why? Like this is where I feel like a lot of women, they just stop there. They say, hey, I had good boyfriends, would have been a good husband, would have been a good father for my kid, but it didn't work out, and that's just okay. No, let's rewind the tape. If they're a good boyfriend, i.e. a good person, they would have been a good husband to you and they would have been a good father, but it didn't work out. Why? Like, to me, that's where you got to hold the mirror up to yourself, because all of the qualities that you are ascribing to that man are positive. What was it? Something that you did not want to accept? Was it something that you did not value at the time? What is it? Because if you don't address that, which is always the part that gets left out of these conversations, is always just focusing in on the pivot, the next move, the next guy. And guess what? The next guy was a situation that he ain't marry you either. And he wasn't a good father by his own admission. If you go check the video that I did on the game, and you now had a child with this guy. That means mirror up to you. Mirror up to you. What's going on, sis?
if it had worked out. It just didn't, So Because there's like, because then you like people will start like questioning like, oh, she has bad taste in men.
Yes, we will question that you have bad taste in men. But this is the thing. It's not even about, and the thing is, they're talking about your bad taste in man with the man that you chose to have a child with. My question is, I'm not even questioning you. I'm questioning you about that somewhat, but I'm more interested in what happened with the good guys, right? Before we even talk about the situation that wasn't ideal, what happened over there? What happened over there when you had the good guys that would have been good husbands and good, better fathers than the one that your child currently has? Like, that's the question that is being asked. Do you have an answer to it? Do you?
Questioning like, oh, she has bad taste in men or something. I'm sorry. But, you know, people will be like, oh, she may have just bad taste in men. But I've had good boyfriends, you know? So that's why I'm like, listen.
So again, okay, what she's saying is, hey, it's not that I have bad taste in men because I've picked some great guys before. So I will give you this. If you say there's nothing wrong with your picker, then what's wrong is your ability to make decisions that have lifelong consequences. So think about this. Think this through, right? And this is not just geared towards her, but any woman that finds themselves in a situation or knows a woman in a situation like this. Think this through for a second. So you make a decision that has a lifelong consequence that you're willing to say, that's okay, I'll deal with that. But you weren't able to come to that conclusion when you were with a good guy, but it didn't work out. Like, what was it that made it work out that thing couldn't be overcome, but being a single mother with a man that isn't as active as a father as the other men that you were dealing with would have been? Like, make that make sense. It boils down not to your taste in men, but your decisions. Why did you make a decision? If you are, because based on her own admission, she recognizes that she has good taste in men. And if you have dated good men that would have been good fathers and husbands and all of that, then yeah, I'm not saying nothing wrong with your taste in that regard. But then you have to ask yourself, like, what happened where you deviated? Okay, maybe you wanted to go out there, like, Baskin Robbins, you wanted to try 31 flavors, and you was like, oh, I wonder what Bad Boy tastes like, and you want to go over there and test that out. Why did you then have to go to the extent where you're like, yeah, let me make a risky decision of laying down with the guy that does not fit the mold of what I want as a husband and the type of guys that I've shown that I have good taste and deal with? Let me make a lifetime decision and have raw, unprotected sex with him and allow him to impregnate me. What? Make that make sense. So it's the decision making. Like, this is where we have to be willing to hold the mirror up to ourselves and say, hey, I gotta make better decisions. It's not just about picking a better person. It's about identifying what are the consequences of your actions. Are the consequences that you would have faced with those good men, is that worse than this alternative of being a single mother? I mean, I'm not saying you get married just because to somebody, but I mean, if you're saying you had the opportunity to marry a good man that would have been a good father to your kids, but you chose the opposite, you have to ask yourself, why is that okay? And why is her mom sitting here just like, it's cool? Like, I get it. From a mother's perspective. Like, you want to be supportive of your daughter, but again, you got to come to a place where you are willing to say, you know what, honey, I'm gonna support you in this. I'm not turning on you, but we got to have a grown woman conversation. We got to have an adult conversation. You did not make a wise choice. If your mother cannot tell you that, if your mother cannot say that, you got to do better, sweetheart. Like, we love your son. I love my grandson. But we got to talk about the decision that you made that brought us to this place. And so that we can correct this behavior so that, guess what? If you have another child that is a daughter, they don't make that same mistake, right? Because we already see the generational patterns that are already, potentially present in this family already. So let's wrap this up.
But I've had good boyfriends, so that's why I'm like, listen, those relationships didn't work out. Blaze was supposed to be here from whomever Blaze came from, the both of us. And that's it.
You're just coming into a situation.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Very interesting. I want to get your thoughts on this. I think that, no shade, to her at all. No shade to her at all. I just look at this as a great example for us to talk about some of the things that need to be addressed in our society. Like we are in a position where we are absolving ourselves from accountability and responsibility. And let me be real, like responsibility first. Accountability is what I talked about in regards to the mother's role, where you support your daughter. You know, this is a decision that she made to have that child. You love the fact that you're about to have a grandchild, but after you get past all of that, there has to be a time when you sit down and you say, we got to have a real talk conversation and talk about what led to this, what decision you made. And is this really a pattern of behavior that you want to continue? Is this a pattern of behavior that you will want to pass down to your daughter? That's a conversation that needs to be had. And that is the conversation that I want to open up for you guys. What do you guys think about this situation, about the decisions that were made? Do you feel like it's a taste issue? Do you feel like it's an issue that goes more towards decision making? I would love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments. And like I said before, I did a video about this situation with her and the game from his perspective. So if you want to hear what he has to say, definitely check that video out, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, I'm Jay. Stay blessed.